September 8, 1941. Leningrad. That day, the very air of the city changed. German and Finnish forces severed every last land supply route. The city was reduced to near total isolation, dependent solely on a single connection across Lake Ladoga, and millions of lives were left stranded within that isolation. The Germans were certain Leningrad would fall within weeks, cut off its supplies, and the city would collapse on its own. No assault would be necessary. All they had to do was wait. But the Germans had miscalculated one thing: who the people of Leningrad truly were. Those who inspected the city's food stores went pale. Official assessments revealed that reserves of key foodstuffs amounted to only a few weeks' supply. If the siege was not broken within a month, this city would starve. And the siege was not broken within a month. October 1st. Rations for workers were slashed to 400 grams per day. For children and non-workers, 200 grams. By November, they would be cut further still. And then came November 20th, 1941. The most devastating number was announced: the daily ration for dependents and the non-employed. 125 grams. 125 grams. A meager lump that fit in the palm of a hand. And that bread was not even real bread. With flour in short supply, cellulose and other substitute materials were mixed in. Its nutritional value fell even further. Still, the people stood in line, because there was nothing else left to eat. People boiled leather. Leather from their shoes, their belts, their wallets. Carpenter's glue became food. Rats became food. Every bird that had remained in the city vanished. But still, it was not enough. The records tell us that during this winter, the unthinkable began to happen in the city. The NKVD records speak quietly. From the end of 1941 into 1942, arrests related to cannibalism surged 366 in January alone, reaching 612 in February. Researchers distinguish between those who turned to the already dead and those who took lives, but by either measure, the total ultimately exceeded 2,000. These are statistics. But behind each single case lies the story of a shattered human being. A man who had once been a teacher. A woman who had once been a mother. Starvation had invaded human dignity all the way to its final fortress. And then the bitter cold of winter descended. This winter's cold was recorded as among the worst in observational history. Temperatures plummeted to around -30 degrees day after day. The fuel for heating was gone. People burned books. They burned furniture. They ripped up floorboards and burned those too. But one night, there was nothing left to burn. That night, in home after home across Leningrad, people died of cold in their sleep. No one had the strength to carry the bodies away. Research tells us that at the peak, January to February 1942, more than 3,000 civilians were dying every single day. By that measure, 100,000 lives were lost every month. People loaded the dead onto sleds and pulled them through the snow. But some collapsed themselves on the way. The city was moving toward death, quietly, but with terrible certainty. And yet, this city did not die. Why did it not die? Lake Ladoga, the vast lake stretching to the northeast of Leningrad. Neither the Germans nor the Finns could fully seal off this lake. In winter, the lake would freeze. Soviet engineers measured the thickness of the ice every single day. And on November 22nd, 1941, the first trucks began to move across the ice. This supply route via Lake Ladoga, maintained over frozen ice in winter and by boat in summer, would come to be called by the people the Road of Life. But it was no mere metaphor. If the ice cracked, the trucks would sink to the bottom of the lake. If the Luftwaffe attacked, it meant instant death. Eyewitness accounts tell of drivers who gripped the wheel in readiness for the ice to give way beneath them. Many trucks sank beneath the surface, but the rest kept moving. And the trucks that carried food in were used on the return journey to evacuate weakened women and children out of the city. Through this road of life, nearly 1 million civilians were evacuated. That pushed survival rates for those who remained just slightly higher. Just slightly, rations increased. 500 grams for workers, 300 grams for children. Could people survive on this? It was barely enough. But barely enough was not death. The road of life functioned until the ice melted with the arrival of spring. By boat in summer, across the ice again in winter. Leningrad was dying, and yet it kept living. While the city teetered on the edge of death, one man kept writing, Dmitri Shostakovich, a composer of whom the Soviet Union was proud. Within besieged Leningrad, he completed 3 movements of his symphony, while listening to the sound of artillery fire, while eating his rationed bread. But in October 1941, orders came from the government. Evacuate. He left the city, yet his heart remained with the city all along. Having completed his 7th symphony in the evacuation city of Kuibyshev, Shostakovich is said to have spoken these words. This symphony is dedicated to the besieged Leningrad. August 9, 1942. Day 342 of the siege. Lights came on in the hall of the Leningrad Philharmonic. The performers were nothing but skin and bone. Conductor Eliasberg was so malnourished he could barely walk. And yet they played. Shostakovich's Symphony No. 7. It is said that suppressive artillery fire was directed at German gun positions to prevent any disruption of the performance. The music was broadcast over radio, across all of besieged Leningrad. The records tell us that civilians who pressed their ears to radios amid the ruins wept aloud. These were not tears of sorrow. They were tears to confirm that they were still human. Culture was the last fortress, the thing that allowed them to remain human even in the midst of starvation. The siege went on, but Leningrad did not surrender. On the front lines, life-or-death fighting continued every single day. Soviet forces kept attacking, German forces kept defending, and the civilians kept enduring. 1942. 1943. Only the days kept passing. January 18, 1943. Day 497 of the siege. Soviet forces broke through the German defensive line. A narrow land corridor, some 8 to 10 kilometers wide. But this slender corridor changed everything. A railway was laid. Food, weapons, medicine, all flowed in. The death toll began to fall, dramatically. January 14, 1944. The Leningrad-Novgorod offensive began. Soviet forces were unleashed. 872 days of accumulated rage and grief, and a will that had refused to die, surged forward all at once. January 27, 1944. Following the breakthrough of 1943, the siege was lifted completely. 872 days of siege. It was over. Fireworks lit the sky. They were fireworks of victory. But those who wept knew that beyond those fireworks, the deaths of hundreds of thousands, perhaps more than 1 million civilians, lay in quiet stillness. Depending on how researchers define the scope and criteria, civilian deaths are estimated in the hundreds of thousands to well over 1 million, with some recent studies placing the figure even higher. Military losses, too, reached a scale of hundreds of thousands. These figures shift, depending on whether only those within the city are counted, or the surrounding areas as well. On whether only direct deaths are included, or excess mortality as well. But no matter which calculation is used, the scale of this tragedy does not change. In all of history, no siege of a city has cost its civilians such a price. Why were they able to endure? Historians have offered many answers. Soviet control and organizational capacity. The road of life as a supply line. The military's defense. But that is not all. The records tell us that survivors said it again and again. We did not give up because there was no one around us who had given up. When one person held on, the person beside them held on too. The human will is contagious. And in 2022, a Russian court legally recognized this siege as, quote, genocide. Even after 80 years, the meaning of this tragedy continues to be re-examined. So what can we learn from this story? How far can human beings endure? If Stalingrad is the story of an army that held its will, then Leningrad is the story of civilians who held nothing but their will. All they had was 125 grams of bread, and the living person standing beside them. And yet, For 872 days, this city did not break. That is the fact that history records. And now, I ask you, history speaks only of outcomes. But those who lived it did not know the outcome. 125 grams of bread. A night at -30 degrees. People falling beside them, one after another. Those who kept believing in tomorrow, they are the ones who built the world you live in today. If you had lived through those days, what would you have held on to face the next morning? And what is it that we in the modern world need in order to never break? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you, from the bottom of my heart, for watching all the way to the end today. If this video on 872 days in Leningrad has offered even a glimpse into the depths of the human will, nothing could make me happier. Here at Turning Point History, we continue to pursue history's turning points as stories of human drama. If you haven't subscribed yet, please turn on channel notifications now. We will keep bringing you the decisions made by those who lived through that era and the questions they leave for us today. Until next time.